Welcome to NovelBot. This is the audiobook of Rebirth of a Genius. Creator Destroyer Chapter 121 to 130. The next day, the whole team are sitting inside a single room of the inn, as they are listening to the report Watt is reading after the shadow mice came back. At the same time, the similar thing is happening inside the Count meeting hall. They seem to be investigating about some gangs and illegal businesses. I heard them when they're talking about a person named Sam who seemed to be busy with something inside the inn. The middle-aged man who was tasked to keep an eye on them was giving his report to the Count and his son. Didn't you find him at the inn then? I tried, but the other party placed some kind of formation. It will not only alarm the party, it seemed to have some offensive functions as well, so I didn't probe him further. It completely concealed him from my vision and spiritual sense. What, a peak stage novice like you, can't even see through a formation from a person with a cultivation less than you? Yes, master. The Count was deep in thought on how to proceed about this. Killing all the members crossed his mind more than once. Because only he, his son and the servant standing in front of him, knew that he is the big boss of all the crimes. If they are really investigating the underground business and it is part of their mission, he can't let them go at all. But the middle-aged man interrupted his thoughts. Master, I have something else to report. Do tell. The young lady among their team seemed to possess the qualities you are searching for. When he said these words, the room was silent for a second before the Count became frenzied. What did you say? Are you sure? Yes, master. She has exact same qualities you mentioned. Her spirit and aura are something different, and she seemed to possess the Mercury Marrow constitution you mentioned. When the Count heard him, he immediately stood up and said, "Immediately bring her here. Try to con her, if not possible use force. But don't kill anyone openly. We will secretly deal with in dark, and nobody of them will be going out of this city alive." Count immediately ordered, and after the middle-aged man left, he said to his son, "Gather every member of the clan and gang and be on high alert. We don't know if they had any powerhouse escorting them. Gather all our members in our family estate and guard the door. I will make the ritual arrangements. Even if the girl is not someone who we are looking for, the conflict will already be started. So, we need to prepare to take them down, but if she is really the one and even if the powerhouse did show up, I need an uninterrupted 3 hours with the girl to perform the ritual. You are in charge of it." After that, both father and son went on their ways. At this moment, the team members are already done with the report, and when they got the news from one of the mice that the Count is suspicious of them, they realized their mistake of being overly active. They decided that they will put on an act of being on a vacation. So, they separated and went on to various places. Watt is the only one inside the room with Falk, thinking on how to deal with the situation. He and Jack went overboard with the investigation, and somehow their group has been recognized by Count's son. But at this moment a shadow mouse streaked in, and when he heard the news on what it is, he was completely shocked. The news is about the peak stage novice making a move to catch a girl from their group. But Watt didn't know who that girl is, but he was glad that the mouse came as soon as it got the news. That person might not have made a move yet. But Watt didn't know where the girls are, and he didn't know whether their target is Kelly or Jasmine. He wanted to ask Sam on what to do, but when he opened the door and saw, the ape didn't let him in at all. He tried to say something and Falk translated. Ape also gave an answer. In short, boss is in a critical stage and we cannot disturb. Watt didn't have any choice and came out of the inn, and immediately boarded on Falk. Both of them flew in the sky as they made loud noise, attracting all the attention. Many people only looked at them with curiosity, but they didn't care much. But the teammates recognized them and followed the duo. Watt was searching for the girls as fast as he can. He finally spotted them at the beach. When Watt landed, he was already late. The peak stage novice already reached the place, and is talking to the two ladies. He ran towards them as he looked at the frown of their faces. When Cully made eye contact with him, he signaled to get out of that place, but before they could react, the middle-aged man reacted and abducted Jasmine. When Cully tried to resist, she was knocked out. The middle-aged man was fast as he immediately moved. At this moment, their remaining teammates came running. The Count sent someone to abduct Jasmine. I got info that he is using her for a ritual. We only have 3 hours. Boss is in a critical stage of cultivation. Inform as soon as possible. Jack, let's go. Philip, they're also planning on eliminating them. You leave the rest and stay with boss. Until he comes out, you have to hold on. If it is possible, we will try to get her back. Watt said. He immediately flew on his beast as Jack followed him by land. The rest of them immediately went back to the inn to inform Sam at any moment. Watt is really anxious on what is going to happen. He didn't know if they can find a loophole and get Jasmine back. At this moment all he wished was for Sam to come out. He didn't know if Sam can turn the situation around. But he felt that there might be a chance, if he was really here. Even though Watt flew, he mainly did so to not lose the sight on the abductor, and also give Jack a direction. They finally stopped outside the Cougar estate. They saw as the middle-aged man entered the estate and run towards a building deep inside. But they didn't dare go inside, because there are a lot of people gathering inside the estate, and all of them are novice stage. There are a lot of people from the novice early stage to novice peak stage. When the flow of the people stopped, there seemed to be more than 300 people. They didn't know what to do. Sneaking is almost impossible. At this exact moment, Sam finally opened his eyes. He is a level 7 novice, finally at the late stage. If not for his exhausted mental state, the breakthrough would have been easy. He stood up and looked at Sky and Yanwu, who just opened their eyes. At this moment, the ape came forward and said something. Sam's expression changed. The happiness on his breakthrough just a moment ago was gone. He came out of the room and saw Philip and the rest are running towards him. From their expressions, one could say that they are really glad that Sam came out. Thank goodness, you are out. Philip explained the whole situation on how Watt and Jack went after the abductor to get Jasmine, and also about the whole ritual. His expression grew colder. Apart from the anger, there is only one thought in his mind. Why? This is the only question in his mind. In his previous life, Stella was also in same situation. Even when he was in top of the world, they still dared to do this. Now, when he was still rank 5 artisan, the status, all of it seemed nothing now. Even though Jasmine is not as close as Stella, he is still frustrated. The scenario was extremely similar to what happened in his previous life. The family heads of those clans didn't dare to do anything to him, but their sons, who don't how dangerous he is, dared to do this. Now, the situation is almost same. The Marquis, who is a lot stronger than him, didn't even refute him when he blatantly went to his mansion and threatened him. But here, a count, who isn't half as strong as the Marquis, is blatantly making his move on a person under his wing. Why? Why is this happening? Even though he was plagued by this, he didn't stop 1 second. He took out his hoverboard and moved towards the estate. Yanwu, Sky and Ape, who were outside, also moved out and started following him. His teammates are the last ones to follow him as they were still dazed by Sam's speed. Sam didn't stop for his teammates. Today he is determined to know the answer that is plaguing his mind. He doesn't want to let the history repeat again, and the same scenario shouldn't happen in the future as well. Sam reached the estate in blink of an eye, but he didn't move inside. Not because he was afraid of the large crowd, because he was thinking on how to solve this once and for all. He doesn't want to face this situation again and again. If he wants to do that though, he needs to find the answer to that question. That answer will let him know what he is lacking, and if knows what he is lacking, he is confident enough that he can get that. He looked at the large entrance of the estate. He is thinking on how to proceed. Watt and Jack came to him and stood behind. They didn't know what he was thinking, and soon even the beasts and the rest of the teammates caught up. Sam. Jack called his name. What should I do to avoid this situation again and again? Do I really look like a pushover? This is not even the first time. What should I do to make them think thrice before making a move on people under me? When his teammates heard him, they didn't know what to say for a second. After a brief silence, Philip is the one who answered. You are not a pushover man. There are many reasons to not mess with you. You are an expert in more than one profession. You can have an overbearing status in a society. You have great potential. Your battle prowess is off the charts. You are so ruthless that you will kill a person just because he cursed you. But there is one reason which is offsetting everything and making them move against you, and that is their lack of knowledge. A normal person and a person with minimum social knowledge will definitely know better than to mess with you if they know what you are capable of. But what if that person doesn't know? What if that person doesn't know what you are capable of? What if that person doesn't know you are ruthless enough to slaughter him for a single curse word? Hell, you might even be able to slaughter the whole clan, but what if they don't know about it? The saying ignorance or fearless is not for nothing. If you really want to prevent these types of situations, make it known that it is a bad idea. Make them know that you are not one to be messed with. Make it known to the whole world, and no one would dare to have these ideas. When Philip finished his speech, Sam felt as if he was enlightened. He understood now. Why did those second-generation young masters make a move on Stella? Because even if they knew Sam's status, they didn't know the significance of it, because only a select few knew about this, as these young masters are unqualified to come across that information. But that only made them more fearless. If they really knew what he was fully capable of, they might have peed their pants at just the thought of him. Now, he understood what he has to do. But he is regretting it now. If he understood this before, Stella might have lived. He looked at the sky and sighed. He is determined now. He will make sure that the past doesn't repeat itself. Even if a person doesn't understand why they shouldn't mess with him, he will still make them known that it doesn't matter whether they understand or not. They still shouldn't mess with him. How to do it? Sam didn't take long to think about it. He stepped forward and stored away his board. Actually, if he used his board and all his functions he installed, he is more than confident on taking on all these guys without much effort at all. But that would ruin the whole point. They will think that Sam relied on his gadgets, and if they can make him separate from the gadgets, they can think of a way to deal with him. They will keep on finding these kinds of excuses. They will still bother him like houseflies. He took away his feather coat and gave it to Watt, then he took out the claws he made. These are actually incomplete ones according to Sam's design, but they are pretty much full as all 10 nails are present, and he can fight with them all the same. The only things that are lacking are the additional features which he wasn't able to make due to his lack of materials. When they came face to face with all the people gathered, Sam stopped and said to his teammates, "Don't get involved in this. If any one of these guys tries to escape, just kill them immediately." When he said those words, everyone including his teammates were dumbfounded. "Jack, I need a favor." "What do you want?" "Take out your sword and be ready to attack." Jack nodded as soon as heard those words, but Sam's next words he was dumbfounded. "A fight right to escape or run away." "Kill me immediately." His words are cold and emotionless as if he was talking about something insignificant. Looking at Jack's expression, he said, "If you don't do so and I get to live, I will kill you." His words only mean one thing. He is planning to take on all the members himself, and if he can't do so, he would rather die. Even him who is one verge on losing tries to escape, he doesn't want to accept that person to be himself. He can't accept himself to be that person who flees. Sam is determined. At this moment, the people from the group also heard Sam's words. Some of them were laughing and jeering at him, some of them were looking at him as if he was retarded. Someone came forward from the back of the crowd. He is none other than the young Master Cougar, the son of the Count. He had an arrogant smile as he looked at Sam. If it isn't the arrogant and powerful artisan Sam. "Are you all powerful? Right now your teammate is going to be a tool for my father's cultivation. Try and stop him if you can." Sam didn't reply and was waiting for Jack's answer. When he finally got a nod of acknowledgement from Jack, he turned towards the young master. "Why aren't you speaking? Are you so cool when you are attacking me in that godforsaken place? Try and make a move now and I promise you I will gouge your heart out." Young Master Cougar stepped forward from the crowd, and another guy who seemed to be in his late stages of novice also followed him. Otherwise, the young master might not even dare to come forward anyway. Sam didn't look at the young master, but he looked at the other guy who was walking with a saber in his hands. He immediately hacked his saber in his hands. But before he could cut through Sam, Ladder moved and threw a Brazilian kick. But the difference is this one didn't hit the temple, rather his foot was directed the kick towards the opponent's throat. The saber cut the vest Sam is wearing, and his upper body became bare. The opponent was nailed to the ground, motionless. When everyone saw him, they were dumbfounded. Sam's toes were pierced deep inside the throat, and his foot was covered in blood. The opponent was dead just like that. Sam turned his head towards his teammates and said, "Don't get involved, this fight is mine." Then he turned towards Yanwu, Sky and Ape. "Kill anyone who tries to get near my teammates." The three beasts roared in acknowledgement. The clan members were still in daze, but Sam didn't care and moved forward. He appeared before the young master and before the latter knew it. He caught his neck with his left hand and punched with his right hand on the latter's heart. Crack, crack. One could hear the cracks from the bones shattering. But he isn't done. The next moment after he punched, he opened his hands and formed a claw. All the sharp edges pierced into the chest of the young master, and before he could even cry in pain, the whole palm came outside from the back of him. The whole place became eerily silent. Lub-dub, lub-dub. The bloody hand of Sam which went through the opponent's chest was now holding a beating heart. The young master of the Cougar family was dead just like that, and the crowd only came to senses now as they thought about the consequences. They are in daze since Sam made the first move by killing a late-stage novice in a single kick. But in a blink of an eye, before they could come out of that shock, the young master of the Cougar family is dead right before their eyes, and the death was just like what young master described. Gouge the heart out. All the cultivators gathered by the Cougar clan are looking at the scene. They looked at the Sam's bloody palm which is holding the heart as it went through the young master's body. Then they looked at Sam's face. His face was cold, without a single emotion. They didn't even see anger. He didn't even have nervousness of facing 300 of them. He didn't show any crazed excitement of facing this challenge. In both cases, they can accept it. Because they saw both kinds of people. But now, they're seeing the third kind. The unfazed. Sam definitely didn't have the highest cultivation. He didn't have many people beside him. He is standing alone. In front of all these people he is looking as if he wasn't even considering them as a threat. Suddenly, they felt nervous. There's a voice in the corner of their minds, to get away from this place as soon as possible. But when they looked at their teammates, they changed their minds immediately. They have strength in numbers, and more than 10 people have cultivations equal to or higher than Sam. Well, they're saying to themselves that they can win. That seed of fear and that voice are still alarming them. That is the subconscious of the humans. No matter how much you deceive yourself, your subconscious knows whether you should be afraid of something. Just like how a person who never seen a tiger will be afraid as soon as he saw one. The instinct can never be deceived. One will be afraid when they see a real threat, and a threat is standing in front of them. Sam slowly retracted his hand and dropped the heart on the ground. The dead body of the young master also dropped down. All the members are hesitating to make a move first. But before they could react, they could see something changing around them. The air around them seemed to raise in temperature. They started to sweat profusely. When they looked at Sam, they understood what is causing this. Sam's body is glowing in golden light, the air around him started to whistle, and the temperature is raising continuously. Soon, all the grass around Sam started wilting due to heat. Vapors started to emit from the plants. Sam is using the fire and wind elements together. When facing a large number of opponents, one has to place themselves in the most convenient and comfortable environment possible, and these high-speed and high-temperature winds might not make all of them disabled, but they will find it hard to concentrate before they could adjust to the new temperature. Sam made the first move which no one anticipated. He took out his golden staff and swung it hard at the person who was standing in forefront. Even though the other party reacted late, he still managed to block the attack. But he didn't feel glad at all, because the tailwind following the staff's movement was so sharp that it pierced through his chest and left a deep gash. At this movement, another person was attacking Sam from behind. But he didn't turn around. Instead, he still swung his staff at his current opponent, and this time, he poked the staff straight into the gash and nailed the staff deep into the person. Now, he swung the staff carrying the person and slammed him into the attacker coming from behind. He didn't stop. He took out the staff and immediately threw it like a javelin towards a person and back. It actually penetrated into that person's mouth as he was chanting and busy making hand signs. Everyone was shocked. But they are the only ones who are in daze. Sam caught the nearest attacker and immediately broke his hand. The bone pierced and came out of the skin. His claws came into work as he tore open the flesh along the bone and pulled it out. Ah! The opponent screamed. But before he could even finish his painful scream, he jabbed the bone directly into the throat, making him die. He pulled back the bone and then pierced it into another person's neck from the side. Before he could turn back, Sam was hit with earth and rock, and followed by a fireball. Sam took a step back and looked at small gashes formed on his torso. He looked at the mages who are short on numbers, but are still hiding at the back of the group. Immediately, Sam took out the normal staff he used to have before forging the golden staff. He didn't attack, but started spinning the staff on top of his head, as he released the wind energy along with the fire energy, but the fire energy is only used to raise the temperature. The wind started circling around him as it created a massive tornado. The group saw his weird actions without doing anything, and within 2 seconds they knew it was a mistake to do so. The whole battlefield soon became a place covered with tornado. When they finally tried to make a move, they were being repelled by the wind currents. Even the spells they are throwing at them are being repelled. But before they could try any big moves, tornado style, harvest, Sam slowly muttered. Then before the disbelieving eyes of all those who were present, the wind current nature completely changed and became sharp. As if targeting the specific people, all the mages in the back became headless. More than 40 lives just went away like that. All their heads fell down as blood spurted out. Sam didn't stop, and with the increasing momentum, he turned towards the nearest opponent and slammed the staff on his head. The head split into two as if it was curved by a sword, but that is not the end of it. All the wind momentum was shot out in a horizontal line, completely ravaging the ground. All the grass blew away and all the people standing that line were slammed to the ground as the sharp winds riddled their bodies, making the blood spurting from the wounds. When all of it was settled down, Sam is standing with a broken staff in his hands, while panting. This massive attack, even though made a lot of damage, also took some amount of energy away from him. But the opponents thought he might have been exhausted, so they tightened their grips on their weapons. After all, there are not many mages left. Only 1 or 2 scattered in between. Contrary to their thoughts, Sam wasn't that exhausted. He can use the surrounding spiritual energy to his liking, so he didn't use up all of his energy. He threw away the piece of staff into a person's eye and leapt into the group. With every kick, he made a person disabled. With every swing, his claws started tearing away the flesh. A saber wielder was about to sneak up on him and leapt towards him from back. But just as he was about to land, a sharp bone was placed in front of his right eye and pierced right through it. Sam threw the guy away. There are occasional gashes on him from the swords and sabers, as it is inevitable to get hurt. But he didn't care at all. For every second Sam is killing a person, and the next second, he is taking 2 lives, and that next second, he is taking 3 lives. He is like a killing machine. Sam just broke a person's leg and tore the flesh away with the claws. Just as he picked the bone and pierced the person's heart, roar, a large beast suddenly sprang out from behind the estate. It is a cougar, more precisely, silver claw cougar. The guardian beast is here. We are saved. We have hope now. All the people who are now a little over half of their original number are suddenly having hope. This is the only time they spoke since the beginning. Sam didn't even give them a chance to spew their usual threats. He directly leapt into the group, reaping lives as if he was drinking water. When they saw the beast, they heaved a sigh in relief. But Sam seemed to be unperturbed. Yanwu. He only said a word, and only at this time did they remember that there are 3 more beasts in the scene. Yanwu, Sky and Ape moved immediately. Their opponent is at level 4. But the 3 of them are at late stage level 3. But their bloodlines are not making them afraid. Heck, they might even fight the beast one-on-one, and now there are 3. The opponent's nightmare started again. Sam started his harvest again. He is like a happy farmer with high enthusiasm harvesting his yield. Even the disparity between levels didn't matter to him anymore. Yanwu, Sky and Ape didn't plan to waste their time on the beast. They communicated to each other, and the ape immediately jumped at the cougar and tackled it. Ape opened the mouth of the cougar. At this moment, Yanwu and Sky started circling in the air in an incredible sound. A large flaming tornado started forming, and when the cougar was in deadlock with the ape with its mouth wide open, the 2 legendary birds directed all the tornado and shot towards the beast. When the 2 birds were about to land, the ape stopped its wrestling and jumped back immediately. The flaming wind current slammed into the beast. The scene immediately stopped the clan members in their tracks. There is a smell of cooked game meat in the air. That's right, the attack almost roasted the cougar alive. Then the group of the beasts went back to their original places watching Sam's teammates. Sam is going on a killing spree. Every claw of his took a life away. Within an hour, the number of 300 reduced to 30. Sam is standing as he looked at the last 30 people with cold expression. He is panting and was clearly out of breath. There are more than 40 slashes, but none of them are deep at all. He didn't even bother to heal himself as he stepped towards the remaining prey. Blood was dripping from his claws. They could even hear the drops hitting the ground. Clan head. Please come and save us. Clan head. Save us. Save us. They started calling for the clan leader, but no reply came. When they thought of pleading Sam and looked at the corpses he left, they immediately swallowed back the idea of doing this. Some of them immediately gritted their teeth and tried to run away. Sam didn't even bother to follow them, and took out the golden crescent. As he shot down one of the guys, Yanwu and others went to get the remaining. The final 10 knelt down and were already sobbing. One of them didn't even have any hope and immediately committed suicide. As one of them did so, the remaining didn't know what to do and followed the first person's footsteps. Sam looked at the corpses and took a step forward. Just as he was about to enter the mansion, a middle-aged man came outside. He is none other than the servant who abducted Jasmine. When he looked at the sea of corpses, he said with disdain, "Pieces of trash." Immediately he pulled out a long sword and made his move. When the sword was about to land on him, Sam raised his left hand and caught the blade between his thumb and index finger. The claws in the sword blade gave a clanking sound of metal, but the clash of the spiritual energy buried the small clanking. Both of the fighters didn't step back at all. Sam swung his right arm, but the other party blocked it with his sword. But the wind tailing the claw was so sharp, and just like before, it made its way to other party's chest. This time, the damage isn't much, but it is still there. Soon, both of them exchanged blows. Every time, both of them blocked each other's attacks, but the middle-aged man was taking damage. The damage is slowly accumulating. He started losing blood. The middle-aged man suddenly stopped and took the blood with his fingers. "You are better than I thought." Middle-aged man looked at Sam and started drawing something on the sword which seemed like some runic inscriptions. Then his life force started seeping out of his body and accumulated into the sword. "Master gave me the mission to stop anyone from disturbing him, but from the looks of it, I will die if the fight goes one for long run, and it seemed that you were also looking for that. I don't believe you have what it takes to make a powerful move in an instant. So, if you take this last move of mine, I will immediately..." Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Before he could finish, something whistled over the wind and 3 deep gashes were made on the middle-aged man's throat. Sam waved his hand and caught 3 cards in his hands. These are made of normal metals, similar to Was, but the only difference is Sam's signature symbol was imprinted on it. Sam wiped the blood on the cards to his pants and stored them away as he looked at the fallen body of the middle-aged man and said, "You talk too much in a fight." After that, Sam slowly stepped inside the house. In the hall, the count is sitting inside an inscription circle made out of blood, and Jasmine was put to sleep and laid on the other end of the circle. The count is making some chants, and occasionally a small part of the circle was being lit up. The count seemed to not notice the new presence, and seemed to be too involved in the ritual. Sam didn't care and was moved towards Jasmine. The other party is actually stronger than him and is out of his reach. If he battled him without holding back, he might have a chance, but Jasmine will surely be involved in collateral damage. When he was about to step into the circle, he was stopped by some kind of restriction which seemed to be caused by the inscriptions. He didn't have any patience to understand and break the inscription. He placed his hand on the floor and closed his eyes. The floor suddenly turned into powder in the place near his hand. The inscription was forcefully broken, and the count was sent flying as he spurted some blood. Sam also took a few steps back to the backlash, but most of the backlash was taken by the count. He slowly stood up and walked towards Jasmine. Seeing that she is still in unconscious state, he checked whether there is any other problem, and after confirming that there are none, he immediately sent her into the divine dimension. He then looked at the Count, who also stood up. How dare you come here? You have no plans of living. You should have obediently fled when you got the news that girl is abducted. The Count, who seemed to take in some serious hit, wiped the blood on his mouth. Sam didn't say anything, instead he took out some normal swords and started stabbing them around him. Before the Count could make sense of the things, more than 3 formation activated around Sam. He took out some diluted indigo water and started heating it up. The indigo-colored vapor started forming as he forced the gas to stay in the wind sphere. Count sensed something is wrong and immediately moved. He also seemed to be a warrior, and he took out a sword and attacked the Sam, but the formation stopped the attack. Sam just stared nonchalantly and drew more and more indigo vapor into the sphere and started compressing it. As he did so, the compressed gas was now in size of an egg. Count continuously attacked, and after 5 blows, the formation broke. But the very moment, Sam immediately threw the compressed gas into the Count's mouth, and immediately jumped back, creating a distance. The other party immediately tried to move, but he felt something was wrong with his body. When he looked inside with his spiritual sense, he could see his lungs and heart are being spread out with an indigo hue. His blood was suddenly filled with strange toxins, and his organs are being corroded. He knelt down as his legs grew weak. Never did he expect that he would fall for such a trick. Sam slowly walked towards him as he saw that his ploy worked. In fact, he doesn't have much energy left. If he fought directly, he will have very low chance of winning. That is the reason he played such a trick. The indigo vapor might have seemed like a special attack, but it is a poison, so if the Count has stayed far away and cautious, he might have been able to avoid inhaling it. But the overconfident Count, who saw Sam's exhausted condition, thought that this is an easy win. Sam picked the Count up and dragged him outside of the mansion. The teammates were stunned. By this time some nobles and other officials also made their way here. All the city guards who are below novice are also here. When they saw Sam's state, they had goosebumps. Even with all the wounds and blood, he walked with his back straight without a hint of pain in his eyes. Sam looked around and found his golden staff. He erected the staff in the ground and tied up the Count to it. He walked towards all the corpses and started piling them in front of Count. The day is far from over. Sam thought it over after what Philip said. He has to make it known to the world that he shouldn't be messed with, and he is determined to create a symbol for that message. A symbol which will indicate all the others to stay away from him, a symbol which will serve as the warning to others. When his teammates offered to help, Sam didn't agree and did all the work on his own. After piling up the corpses, which are more intact, he took out the blood extraction device he made, as well as his forging equipment. He couldn't care less about his storage capacity being revealed. He took out all the equipment that he would be needing and placed them around. He started extracting the blood from the corpses and filled the cauldron with it. After some time, all the corpses were free of blood. Sam placed his hands inside the blood and started observing as he simultaneously heated it up. Soon, there is a blood-red vapor emitting from it. But there is a solid forming in the middle. After some time, all the liquid was gone, and only a lump of blood-colored solid was the only thing remained inside the cauldron. Sam took out the lump and placed it on the anvil. He took out his hammer and started beating it. After some red-colored soft-textured powder was collapsed, a metal clanking sound came. This is the blood iron. A metal on par with meteorite sand. Sam looked at the big lump of blood iron. He then walked towards the cauldron and cleaned it up, before placing the blood iron inside the cauldron. He placed a hand on it and made it into powder form. He started his process. Melting the blood iron. Making a billet by casting. Heating and rolling it into a sheet and rolling process. After the sheet is done, Sam divided the large sheet into 2, one big and one small one. He took the big one and started his forging process. He heated it and started folding it. He is using the Japanese forging technique, and he is also making a Japanese blade. He heated, folded, hammered. The impurities remaining in the blood iron started appearing and accumulating at one side. He removed them and reforged it again and again. Soon, a blood-red katana was formed. Sam placed the dagger, knives and all the auxiliary equipment he made with black meteorite sand into the cauldron, to make 2 hilts. He fixed one to the katana blade. Then he proceeded to the smaller sheet and forged to make a wakizashi. After fixing the second hilt, Sam took out the black meteorite thread that was remained after making his coat, to make a grip on the hits of the 2 blades. After everything was done, Sam took once again heated the blades and placed them on the anvil. He wore his claws and used his index finger to carve on the blade. On the katana he wrote Executioner. On the wakizashi he wrote Reaper. Sam held 2 blades towards the Count. He slashed with the 2 blades with making a cross on his body, ending his life. From now on, these 2 blades shall act as that symbol which serves as warning to the whole world. These 2 blades shall be the ones showing to what extent Sam will go. I would like to see which moron would like to mess with me. Sam muttered. Then he walked towards his teammates and let Jasmine out of the dimension. Even though a lot of them were surprised, they didn't have any thoughts of asking questions. They took her and checked her condition. Sam stepped back and sat on the stairs of the mansion. Suddenly, all the exhaustion came onto him, and just as he was about to fall backwards, he felt a soft furry thing. He looked up to see the ape rubbing Sam's head gently. Yanwoo Sky came to him and stood on the either side. Sam closed his eyes and slept peacefully. When the teammates looked at the serious expressions of the beasts and avoided the thoughts of checking on him. Just as Hawk was about to seal the news, Philip said, "Don't let the news spread. In fact, order them to spread the news. I would really want to see who will go against Sam after this incident. This day and this incident will serve as warning to all the world. This world might as well have a glimpse of what Sam can do if he is pissed." After all, Sam made all this effort to send a message. A 16-year-old level 7 novice, battle against 300 novices and a great warrior, and slaughtered all of them, just because they abducted his teammate. When Philip said these words, the rest of the teammates shivered just by the thought of what would happen if Sam was their enemy. "I am sorry, Stella, I should have done this sooner," Sam muttered in his sleep as tears streamed down his closed eyes. When he felt something rubbing on his chest, he was dragged out of his dream. Sam groggily woke up. When he looked at the surroundings, he saw all the blood, gore and the massacre he created. He was out for more than 3 hours. When he moved around, he could feel the soft fur of the ape, and the ape's arm resting on his chest, as if trying to console him. It is as if it could feel the sad emotions of Sam and was consoling him. Even Yanwoo and Sky are rubbing their heads to him. Sam quickly cleared the tear-stained face. No matter how much fragile he was, he would never let the world know about it. There are only a select few that can see him in that state, and except for these 3 beasts, nobody in this world is qualified yet. Sam stood up. His injuries are already scabbed, and his spiritual energy is pretty much restored. He healed himself as he simultaneously looked at the grounds. His teammates are standing a bit far away waiting for him. When they saw that he was okay and stood up, their mood also brightened. When Sam fell unconscious, they wanted to check on him, but the 3 beasts didn't let them come near him. Particularly, the ape is being very protective, even hugging Sam and giving them aggressive looks. Actually, the ape really grew closer to Sam after watching him exert himself to that extent when activating the bloodline. He is the only one who saw how much stress Sam has endured, and even though he recovered physically, his mental state is still a bit sensitive. That is why, if the teammates really did come and check on him when he is injured, due to his long battle and killing spree, Sam might have attacked instinctively. If not for the close feeling and familiar presence of his beasts, which he would trust unconditionally, he would have attacked them also. After a moment, Sam looked at the 2 swords that are placed near his feet. He picked them up, and after examining for a bit, stored them away. He has other plans for them. His wounds are completely gone, but the scars are still there. His whole naked upper body was covered in scars. It is not because he can't heal them, but rather Sam didn't like healing his scars. Even in his previous life, when the medical technology can remove the scars, he still kept them. Because every scar is a reminder to him and it is a lesson from the past. Even if one person doesn't like the past, they should still treasure the lessons it taught them. So, with that point in mind, he never removed his scars, and he is not going to remove them now. He slowly walked towards the exit. Right now he doesn't want to talk. He even left the remaining corpses and his staff ton, which the count was tied just like that. He deliberately left the staff in this place and also left the corpses like that. This place should be the graveyard, and the staff should be the symbol of this graveyard he is going to leave as reminders. Even though he knew that the people who learned of this might erase the thoughts, Sam should think of ways to avoid even greater danger. At the peak of the society, the people who make the rules of the society but are not bound by them in normal circumstances will now have Sam under their radars. Being at the top of the pyramid, they didn't want their positions to be shaken, and they want to suppress the people who are capable of that. Now, they will start to examine whether Sam has that much potential and ambition to do that. But Sam do have his plans. All he has to do is make his name known all over the nation, and he was sure he can use that and play off of that. And how he can do it is story for another day. Right now, Sam wants to have some peaceful time, so after moving his stiff body a bit, he took his harbinger and prepared to move. Boss.yq. Just before he could do so, Watt ran up to him and helped him wear his feather coat. Sam just gave him a faint smile and immediately moved. The 3 beasts immediately followed. After a while, Sam noticed that there are no people on the streets, and even the beach was empty. He landed on the beach and kept the harbinger away, before he lay down on the sand. He looked at the clear sky as he tried to empty his mind. He finally felt some peace. But the rest of the city are not at peace, and that includes Sam's teammates. Watt, being a good subordinate, immediately went to all the dead bodies, and collected the spatial rings and weapons. When he took away the ring from the corpse of the count and examined it, he was quite baffled. because he saw something familiar inside the ring. Then he immediately called Jack over and showed him. Now, it is Jack's time to be baffled. Because what he saw were all familiar cubes of meteorite sand, along with the millions of stones and resources. This just like a loot from the Blackwater organization. They started searching the scrolls, and when they found some monthly reports, they got some startling information. The Cougar family itself is the Blackwater organization's branch in the city. It started from the previous count, and it seems that the current count just took the mantle recently. Both of them immediately wanted to share the news with Sam, but when they thought of his condition, they abandoned the idea for now. The teammates immediately went back to the inn, since Sam was fine, and they also have to find a healer to check on Jasmine's condition, who didn't show any signs of waking up. She seemed to be under the influence of some drug and was still sleeping. At the same time, all the big shots in the city were in frenzy. The news even traveled to the Blue Flame City. Even though the communication tokens have minimal range, some big shots like tower heads of various professions, and even the count and higher-ranked nobles, and even the principal of the academy, have ways to contact the Marquis City. At this moment, they are doing this right now, and all the noble families, Chaya, the Marquis, the principal of the academy, all receive the news. The Count of Cougar City kidnapped Sam's teammate for some reason, and in retaliation, he went to the estate and single-handedly slaughtered the whole Cougar family and their subordinates, and forged true blades from their blood iron. The Marquis had a headache as he didn't know what to think of it. The first thought that came to his mind was this is an absolute joke, but when he remembered the cold eyes, emotionless face, and the aura of superiority of the young man who even dared to threaten him, the lord of a territory right in his own residence, made him think otherwise. 2 days after the incident, Sam finally interacted with his teammates. Jasmine also woke up a long time ago, but she was still scared. When Sam read the whole information from Count's spatial ring, he was a little bit surprised, but it was only a little bit. Sam would have been surprised if the other party doesn't have anything to do with these shady things. After confirming that their mission was over, they immediately started their journey back to the Blue Flame City. The Cougar City is the closest city to the Blue Flame City. That is why they kept it as last target, so that they can go back quickly. So, they arrived at the Blue Flame City after 5 days in the Golden Horse Trading Company's carriage. As soon as they arrived at the city, Sam took Jasmine and went to the Artisan Tower to meet Chaya. The rest of the group went back to the mansion which was being maintained by Mackie. Arrange a meeting with Maya, Sam asked as soon as he saw Chaya. Chaya was dumbstruck as soon as she saw him. All the upper echelons in the Blue Flame City learned the news. She was shocked when she heard the news and didn't even know what to think about it. Then she remembered the sentence Sam tyrannically said to her before, measuring his enemy not by the threat they can create to him, rather by the effort he needs to destroy them. She just thought he was a bit arrogant at that time. But after learning the incident, she didn't know what to make of it, except for believing it. But she understood one thing, a person like Sam, if he is an enemy, he should be killed in one swift move. If he was even given an extra chance, they will be doomed. After a while, Maya came to the tower in a hurry. Jasmine immediately hugged her and started bawling. Sam didn't see her crying after that incident. She is really putting on a strong front. Withdraw her from the further competitions. She is like a little child, and let her live like that, doing whatever she loves doing. Don't ruin her by forcing her in this pit, Sam said in all seriousness. At first, the deal between them was only taking care of Jasmine in dire conditions, and giving her some advice, but after getting to know her a bit, he couldn't help but shelter her. He didn't let her do anything at all, because, behind that beautiful woman there is a small child hidden deep. Sam looks at the world with calculations and cynicism. The only exception are children, small kids who are completely innocent. Now, even though Jasmine is not a child by age, she is still a child by heart. So, he doesn't want to let her enter the cruel side of the society. It is not that easy, Chaya said slowly. Even though she didn't give any explanations, he already has some speculations. When he heard from the Marquis the previous time, he already has some thoughts. After bidding farewell, Sam went back to his mansion only to be received the summons from the Marquis. Even if the other party hasn't summoned him, he already has plans to meet him anyway. So, leaving the team alone, he went to the Marquis mansion, but there was katana hanging on his waist. When Sam reached the Marquis mansion, an attendant was already waiting for him at the entrance, who guided him to the meeting room. Marquis is the only person sitting in the room with a gloomy expression. Sam entered the room and took a seat up on Marquis' dresser. You know what you did. Just because you are capable, that doesn't mean you can do things as you like. Do you know what killing a count means? When the news spreads, the other counts will all become restless. Sam didn't bother to reply and just looked at the Marquis ranting on him with expressionless face. I don't know what you think of it, but the fact is as simple as you heard it to be. A person with the support of his family kidnapped a person under my wing, so I went there to take her back. That's it. That doesn't have anything to do with his noble title. If the other counts are restless and afraid of it, then I have only one thing to say. Don't mess with me. Why acute. Sam opened his mouth only after the Marquis calmed down a little. Sam placed the katana on the table, then only Marquis looked at the sword closely. Even though it was sheathed, he can still feel the bloody aura. Sam didn't seem to care about it and took out a bunch of scrolls and placed them on the table. These are the reports of the mission. There are more than 8 months till the mission is over. I have 2 requests. First one, don't release the info about our missions and seal it as much as you can. At least, don't let any of the officials in nobility know about it. The second one, eliminate Jasmine in this round. When Sam said his first condition, the Marquis was already surprised and confused, but when he heard the second condition, he was shocked. Why would someone eliminate their own teammate, and particularly after Sam went through the trouble of creating a massacre just to save her? Why? Sam chuckled at Marquis' question. This only made him believe that the other party is completely oblivious to the Blackwater and the situation of the underground forces. For the first one, you will understand once you see the reports. As for the second one, I don't have much reasons, but I can exchange something in return. Marquis was clearly surprised that Sam would exchange something with him. What are going to exchange then? 20 million spirit stones. Marquis took a deep breath when he heard the number. He didn't expect that Sam would outright give him a number. This isn't even an exchange, rather it is more of a bribe. He knew that Sam is rich, but he didn't think that he can give away that much. Of course, the Marquis didn't take a look at the reports, otherwise he would understand that the 20 million is just the loot from one Count City. I don't need that. I want you to owe me a favor. This time it was Sam's time to think. But he nodded his head anyway. Sure. After that, Sam took his sword and left. All the guards and officials who faced him were all looking at the sword. Not because they heard the news, but because they are surprised by the fierce aura. The blood scent can even be felt in the air. Sam went back to his mansion. For the next few days, he didn't do anything at all. He is waiting for Marquis' call. He is very sure that Marquis will call him, because Sam left something crucial out of the report, and that is the info about the Blackwater organization. From what he understood about the Marquis, he is sure that the other party is a responsible person, and if he is also a clever one, he could recognize that there is a gap in the info Sam provided. Just as he predicted, the personal attendant of the Marquis came to the mansion after 5 days. That day, in the same meeting room. What is it with all these underground forces? Why are all of them similar in operating and has similar businesses? And they are led by great mages. What is it with this report? Marquis is clearly confused, but he was also shocked when he read the report. He knew that there are a lot of underground forces, but he didn't expect that there is this much of involvement, and they have such great power in a single city. Sam only smiled and said, "You don't know a lot of things, Sir Marquis. It is not like you have been living at the bottom of the society to learn this. The involvement of these forces is much more than you think, and the details in the report are only tip of the iceberg." What do you mean by saying this is a tip of the iceberg? Marquis was stunned. Even if having a force as strong as the whole city guard is tip of the iceberg, then what is the whole network of this organization? He is suddenly afraid. I mean exactly what is said. I can give you information, but that is not the part of my job, so I am sorry. He finished his piece and was about leave, when the Marquis stood up immediately. What do you want? He immediately asked. He knows better than anyone that Sam is not a person who will just divulge info under pressure, and in fact he is in a situation where he cannot even pressure him. An equivalent exchange and a simple condition. Sam replied as he sat back. What is the condition? You will not under any circumstances reveal this info to your superiors, and you will also hide the fact that I am the one who gave you this info. Marquis started to think. He is trying to guess why Sam placed such a condition. If the info is valuable, the superiors might even give Sam a great reward. But he clearly wants to hide himself, keeping a low profile, which is not Sam's style at all. Then that only means one thing. The info will give him more problems than rewards, if he was known to get involved with this. What do you want in exchange? Marquis asked in a solemn tone. Of course, info for info, then only we can call it an equivalent exchange. At this statement Marquis' face truly became solemn. He has an inkling what Sam is going to ask. But after some thought, he said, I agree. Sam nodded and took out a formation disc. This is actually a rank 3 concealment formation, which he made using special techniques. Only a person above Great Realm can get through this. After activating the formation, Sam said, You might not believe me, but the 3 big organizations in the 3 Count cities are actually part of an even bigger organization. The organization has branches all over the empire, and if my guess is correct, it is much bigger than that. Sam paused for a second before continuing. I am not going to divulge the organization's name, but what I can tell you is, in every city they same force as the rulers of that territory if not better than them. In every Count city, they have a great mage leading the branch. They will have several legal businesses led by their people to have an identity, and they are also in charge of all the profitable illegal businesses. They will send the profits there into their superior branch annually. Marquis' expression turned gloomy. How is it even possible? If such a powerful force is inside the city, how can they be hidden that deep? Even if they have alternate identities, how can they hide it from the authorities and the city guards for that long period of time? When Sam heard this, he nearly wanted to laugh out loud. You truly overestimate your role. There's more to the society than that meets your eyes, Marquis. You know that apart from paying taxes, more than 70% of businesses in the business zone has to pay protection fee. Then do you think those people will not complain to the city guard about it? If they did, then why are they still in that condition? Where do you think those protection fees are going? Who are collecting this? I have to say, even though you are one of the responsible persons I have known, you are still uninformed about a lot of things. Anyway, what I want to say is, there is a branch of that organization in Blue Flame City, and that is the headquarters of all the organizations in the Count cities. And they are not even the final organization, they are also subordinate of much bigger organization. The even more interesting thing is their profits might be even higher than your taxes. Every year, not only will they send all those spear stones, they also collect resources like herbs and ores, and send them to their superior organization. When Sam finished saying this, the Marquis is already sweating. He didn't know that there is an organization right under his nose, and has more influence than him. At this moment, Sam took out some scrolls. These are the monthly reports he collected. When the Marquis skimmed through this, he was even more shocked. But the name of the organization was torn away from the scroll. Now, your turn, Sam said, waking the Marquis up from his stupor. What do you want to know? The competition, special branch, what is this about? Marquis took a deep breath. He knew this was coming, but since he made a deal, he has to say it. All these special branches and the competitions are for an event, and that is the 18th birthday of his youngest princess. Even though the info was stated like that, there is one more thing only select few can know, and that chain stops at Marquis level. The competitions and everything held by the Empire, but the one who ordered them is someone beyond the Emperor. They're the true rulers of the Empire. We don't know the exact details on why they are asking to do this, but simply put, they asked us to select the younger people with potential. Even though the tests are designed by the Emperor, your names are already sent to them. Now your lives are under their protection. Even if you offend the Emperor now, he has to shut it and keep silent. At the same time, you are all under their radar, and quitting the competition is not your choice anymore. Me agreeing to let Jasmine is that I have a valid reason to let her quit, and that is her mental state and lack of combat prowess. If not for the pressure due to the ignorance of the Artisan Tower, I would have never let her join in. As for why those people want these candidates, even I don't know about that. That level of info is not accessible to my level. I think only the Emperor knows about. When Marquis finished explaining this, Sam started thinking of the possible reasons that the behind-the-scenes ruler might have to collect all the high-potential candidates in the same place. Some of the thoughts are devouring talent, crippling the nation's future elites, sending them to a mission only the younger people are allowed. Cannon fodder. Anyway, to put it simply, Sam's first chain of thoughts are absolute worst. But he didn't think much as Marquis asked a question. Can you tell me the name of that organization? Sam shook his head and said, absolutely not. By any chance, if you leak that info to your superiors and spill the beans that I am the one who gave you the tip, I would be hunted down by that organization. Even if I am not afraid of them, I am not so free to play a game of chase with them. But if you want, we can make a deal. I will give you the info on the Blue Flame City branch. Will you supply the manpower for battle? We can run a joint operation on this, but the same rules as the mission apply. The loot will be mine. Marquis immediately became angry. Can you be any more black-hearted? From what you said, their income is more than taxes, and you want to devour all of that. Of course, I want to. You really have investigation methods to get the info. You will be blocked right after catching some small fries. I am doing a favor by helping you clean the trash which you can't see, let alone clean it. So, obviously whatever comes with the trash is mine. Not a chance. 50-50. I want at least 90%. That is impossible. If not for the fact that I don't know the scale of the loot, I wouldn't have let you swallow all the loot from the Count cities. Now, you even want to get your claws on this. Dream on. Marquis almost shouted on top of his lungs. Sam just chuckled and replied, okay then, that's your bad. Do you really think that I don't have ways to take down this organization? I just don't want to waste my time too much. But on second thoughts, since I have 8 months till the mission time, I will make use of it and deal with it. Just wait for my report then. I will just take my sweet time and take all the loot. Giving you guys 10% for doing your job is already me being generous. With that statement, Sam stood up and was ready to leave. 60%. You get 60 and me 40. Sam didn't bother to turn around and just kept walking towards the door. 70. Still no reaction. 80. Not a single percent more. Sam finally stopped and said with a smile, okay, then. I agree. I will give you the first batch of the info after a week. Till then, don't contact me. He went back to the table and took the formation disc. Then only Marquis realized that Sam is not even thinking of leaving, he just wanted to get the bigger share. He felt anger rushing to his head due to the embarrassment. He quickly recovered and said to Sam, "Technically, your mission is over. So, I will tell you about the next phase." Sam's expression changed immediately. He really is not a fan of these missions and stuff. There is one time when Sam even thought that Emperor, who isn't even popular in a marquee city, is making use of these competitions and letting the candidates do his bidding. After all, what is it with the mission of clearing the underground forces? Seeing Sam's serious expression, Marquis chuckled and said, "It is not what you think. All you have to do is learn and cultivate. You will be given access to a tower library, and they have insights on various things. So, all you have to do is read them. But this mission is not compulsory. You are not going to be forced to read them. That is entirely your choice. But the catch is only 20 members are going to be selected into the next phase. 10 members will be eliminated from the current 30. And your team got lucky, since you all finished this early, and also did more work than expected, no one will be eliminated. But since we made a deal, Jasmine will be withdrawn." After confirming the details, Sam left the place. He still has a lot of things to do, and one of them is to make a move against the Blackwater branch in the city. Since this city's branch is the superior for all the Count City branches under Blue Flame City, there is a high chance that the destruction of 3 branches and Sam's presence at those branches will make Sam a prime suspect. Even if they don't know about the first 2 cities, they will definitely think of ways to mess with Sam, due to him taking the things from the Cougar family, which is also the Blackwater branch in the Cougar City. But Sam didn't worry too much, because from the scale of operations and influence of the Blackwater, even if they don't know the internal details, they could clearly guess the significance of this competition and fact that Sam is not touchable for now. So, Sam has some breathing space and he can plot against them. He cannot possibly let them pass the info to their superiors, and have them suspect him too. That is the reason he made a deal with Marquis. Even though he said he has time, in fact he doesn't. In a few months the year will end, and according to rules of this Blackwater, the yearly meetings will be held. So, the Blue Flame City branch leader will also have to report to their superior, which Sam doesn't want them to. After he came back to the mansion, Sam sent Watt to slums to inquire about some small-time gangs, and leave the Shadow Mice to track their operations. This is actually the best way to proceed. Only the members of the underground will know about the other gangs operating, and the best way to get the info is to corner one of them, and show them there is no other way to be free, other than giving away the info. Sam gave the necessary instructions and immediately went to his room where he entered the Divine Dimension. He has something important to do now, and that is to examine the poison pool in the Hydra skeleton. At the same time, he needs to unseal the egg, so that child could come out. Sam walked towards the large pool of poisonous fluid and stood at the edge. He actually wore that breathing mask to make sure that he isn't infected by the air around the pool. In the center of the pool, there is a large skeleton and a huge egg with runes. Sam was focused on how to get the skeleton when he is under the sea, that he didn't get the chance to observe the skeleton. He stood on the Harbinger and floated towards as he watched the humongous structure. The Hydra has 9 snake heads. The vertebrae of those neck are a combination of thousands of small joints. Sam couldn't help but admire the bone structure of the legendary beast. The heads, even though resembled snakes, they are a lot fiercer. Sam took a small dagger and scratched the surface, but the dagger's tip was chipped. He already expected this, but he tried to do so to check if there are any auxiliary effects, but the weapons aren't strong enough to check that. After admiring the bones, claws and fangs, Sam finally moved towards the pool. Sam took out the katana, which is named Executioner, and unsheathed it. He slowly dipped it inside the pool. Sam has a hunch that the pool is mostly formed due to the blood of the Hydra, and got diluted with the seawater. If it is really blood, then there is definitely going to be blood essence. When Sam placed the blade inside the pool, the poison started corroding the blade, but before the effect took place, the blade glowed a little as it started absorbing the blood essence. Sam couldn't help but smile. Now, he got another card up his sleeves. If you let the Executioner absorb the blood essence of the whole pool, then there might be some interesting abilities added to the blade. He can use the Reaper to collect the blood of his enemies outside, and let the Executioners develop by collecting the essence of the pool. Sam floated towards the center of the pool and placed it vertically with the skeleton as support. No matter how slow it might be, it is still absorbing the blood essence. Now, the final task, unsealing the egg. Sam walked out of the formation with the egg in tow, and went to an open area in the water zone. The water zone in the dimension is half earth and half water. The water is like a large lake, but it is only useful for beasts, and Sam can't use it to his liking. Sam took out a large number of formation flags and placed them. He needs a lot of water-type spiritual energy. And Sam has a lot of water spirit stone from the loot of the 3 coastal cities. He placed the whole lot within the formation. After that, Sam pierced his finger with a dagger and drew out some blood. He placed the egg in the center of the formation as he started creating runes over the egg. Now, the final step is let the formation activate and let the egg unseal. The process until the egg hatches will be completely dependent on the formation and the runes he drew. Sam stood at a single spot as he controlled the formation. The blood runes he drew started to turn bright and started moving towards the blood runes drawn by the Hydra. Soon, both the runes merged and started circling around the egg with bright light. After more than an hour, the runes disappeared with a flash. Now, the water spiritual energy will be absorbed by the egg until it hatches. All he has to do is wait, and he doesn't have to wait inside the dimension. Sam came out of the dimension and started heading out. Since it has been around 4 months, it is about time he collects the profits from the business. But there are some guests in waiting for him downstairs. They're Maya and Jasmine. They immediately stood up when they saw Sam coming. Jasmine is still a little unstable due to the trauma. So, she isn't as bright as before when she saw Sam, but she still became a bit better and shone a smile at him. Sam returned a smile to her and gestured them to sit. Thank you, Sam, for saving her and taking care of her. Last time I didn't have a chance to thank you. Maya said in a low voice. Don't mention it. I already talked to Marquis. She is not going to the next phase of the competition. Sam isn't even asking her opinion anymore. He just made the decision. He became even more resolved when he learned that Maya used the Artisan Tower to forcefully place Jasmine in the competition. After all, one has to think before they take actions. Does every grand thing lead to an opportunity? Maya didn't even think what type of competition it is, and what could happen to Jasmine due to her childlike personality, and send her to the competition by pulling some strings. He really didn't like that. Jasmine didn't say anything about it. In fact, she is somewhat relieved. She really didn't like the tasks and phases. Thank you. I also wanted to talk to him about it. Then she took a spatial ring and gave it to him. Sam silently kept it without any rejection. If he didn't do so, Maya might even think Sam has other intentions. At least, Sam would do so, if he were in her shoes. Some things are better just left as business. After that, Sam left. He went to Chai again and took the earnings. He has made around 7 million spirit stones this time. After checking that everything is okay in the shop and the restaurant, Sam had a hearty meal and went back to the mansion. He needs to think of a plan to go against the Blackwater branch because he is unsure of their strength this time. He didn't know whether the leader of the branch is a person at Grand Realm Cultivation or realm beyond that. From what he knew of the organization, they operate with same power as the authorities in the city. So, there's a possibility there is a person whose cultivation is beyond the Grand Realm, which makes his plans a little bit difficult. If he planned perfectly, he is confident to take them down, and he has more than one way to do that. And for the first plan, he can use the poison of Hydra. As for the second plan, he needs to get out of the city and search for something. Sam went back to the mansion and entered the yard. Now that he can distinguish the gases from the air, he began practicing in that direction, but this time, he is also trying it with light element. He wants to separate the spectrum of light. If he can do so, he can have many uses. Even if they are not offensive, he can still use them for many auxiliary purposes. So, he went practice in the yard. But when he went there, he saw Watt and Jack are already sparring, while Philip is leaning against a tree as he looked at the duo sparring. Sam noticed that Watt is practicing his close combat. He is not using his cards or his wind blades. He is not even using any martial arts. Then only Sam remembered that he never gave any hand-to-hand combat techniques to Watt. But when he saw Watt's movements, he was rather amused. Watt is using his body very crudely. There are no efficient movements. But he is trying to get his body used to the attacks, and trying to find the most efficient movement. He wasn't able to gather enough courage to ask Sam for a combat technique, so he is trying his best to fight in his own style. The most important thing of all is, he is copying what Sam did. Just like how Sam used the tailwinds of an attack to be a sharp blade, almost making it undefendable, he is also making the tailwind sharp, but he wasn't used to it yet, and Jack was able to defend it easily. After a few exchanges, Watt was sent flying, and then only they noticed Sam standing there. Wow, Jack, you have guts. Bullying Sam's subordinate right under his watch. Aren't you asking for a beating? Philip immediately said with a mischievous glint in his eyes. Sam didn't reply and just gave Philip a look. Then he turned towards Jack and said, If that is true, you sure have guts, but you are still a novice initial stages, and it would be unfair if I beat you up, so Philip will teach you a lesson on my behalf. Philip immediately lost color from his face. He didn't expect Sam could make such a comeback at him. Jack smiled and looked at Philip. He took out his black meteorite sand and said, Want to go for a round? Philip wanted to think for an excuse, but Sam cut his train of thoughts with his words. Philip, are we friends? I even let you stay in my place for so long. You should really help me. Otherwise, you will be known as ungrateful and bad friend. Philip looked at Sam, who kept a straight face all this while. But he is cursing in his mind. Isn't shamelessness my thing? When did this all-powerful and prideful Sam learn to be this shameless? But what Sam did next made him grit his teeth even more. Everyone come out, Philip is challenging Jack to a duel. Sam shouted to all the members inside the mansion. Soon, Hawk, Cully, Drew, Ray all came to the yard as they looked with expectations, and the main reason is, they never saw Philip fighting properly. Even in the Falcon Cliff City, he dealt with his opponents easily, and Jack also did same. They're expecting to find a great fight. Philip didn't even know what to do and grudgingly accept the duel. But the result was he was defeated without much a fight. It only lasted 10 minutes and all this time, Jack has upper hand. But only 2 people knew that the actual reality is different. Philip deliberately lost. Jack and Sam are the only ones to see this. After the duel was over, Philip walked towards Jack and said, "Sorry." He is apologizing because he felt that it is greatest disrespect to not to give his all when fighting a person like Jack. But he has his reasons. He then looked to Sam and said, "Man, you are no fun." Only to get Sam's sarcastic smile. After everything was over, Sam and Watt stayed there. "I will give you a combat technique tomorrow." Watt thanked him and left the yard. Sam practiced for the day and at night, he entered the tower to search for the combat technique. After a whole night of searching, he finally found one and copied it for Watt. Next day after giving the technique, Sam went back to the yard for his practice. For the next few days all he did was to practice, and after a week, the first report from the Shadow Mice came. They got a hold of the headquarters of the biggest gang in the slums. That is called the Tiger Gang. The leader is a late-stage novice, which required Sam to make a move personally. Sam started making preparations and also told Jack and Watt to get ready. They planned to make a move the next night, but the next morning, Sam received a message from Marquis to visit the mansion, and the details were completely surprising, because someone from the Duke capital came to visit him, and he was asked to visit urgently. Sam didn't know what has happened, but he still kept Reaper on his waist, and went to the Marquis mansion along with Jack. When he was near the Marquis mansion, there are many people waiting there pointing fingers at him and his sword as they whispered something. Sam guessed that the news about the Cougar family's massacre was spread. His expectation is right, and his visit here was also regarding the same thing. When Sam entered the meeting room, Marquis was sitting in his chair as another young man who seemed to be around 20 sitting near him. Sam sat across that person as Watt stood behind him. Sam mainly brought along to broaden Ladder's horizons, as well as to introduce him to the world. The young man also has some subordinates who stood behind him, and they were eyeing Sam and Watt with contempt since they entered the room. Sam didn't care about them at all as he disregarded their existence and looked at the Marquis with a questioning gaze. "Well, Artisan Sam. This is young Master Nicholas, the junior duke of the Southern Star Dukedom." "Young Master Nicholas. This is Artisan Sam. He is not only a rank 5 scholar artisan, he also proficient in weapon forging, tailor artisanship." His words seemed more like a suggestion to both parties to act with caution by mentioning their status than an introduction. Both young men noticed this, but they didn't seem to care. Sam and Nicholas didn't greet each other, they just stared at each other. Soon, the staring contest turned into a contest of aura. Sam immediately recognized the power level of Nicholas. A level 1 Great Realm Cultivator. But he didn't back down. He might not win a Great Realm Cultivator in a direct confrontation to subdue him with force, but he has more than one way to kill the other person in the battle. So, there is nothing to fear and back down. The auras clashed and soon the spiritual energies. Sam's spiritual energy levels are quite high. He might have thrice the amount of a normal level 7 novice. His energy levels are at least equal to a peak stage novice. Marquis is gulping nervously as he stared at the two youngsters. This is the first time he felt so useless being in the position of Marquis. Even in his own mansion, he didn't dare to stop these guys' confrontation. He gritted his teeth and cursed inwardly. "I am already having enough with Sam, now this Nicholas came to add to my troubles. If there's a chance, I will trade places with either of you, and let you know how much I am suffering. Why are youngsters so heartless now? Can't they give me some breathing space?" After some silent confrontation, Nicholas first retracted his aura and said, "Well, since Artisan Sam is here, how about we talk over some meal? I heard that Artisan Sam's restaurant is quite famous for his delicious food. Brad, how about you arrange some food from that restaurant?" He gestured to one of his subordinates standing beside him. The person who named Brad looked at Sam with a contemptuous look and said, "Young master, what kind of delicious food can a restaurant in this city have? I think it wouldn't be too pleasing to your tongue." At this moment, Nicholas gave a look to Brad from which the latter seemed to understand something and looked at Watt. "Hey kid. I am not too familiar with this city. Since that restaurant is your boss's, you should know about it. Go get some food to our young master." Brad threw a pouch filled with spirit stones on the table. This gesture is not only disrespect to Watt, but also Sam. But Sam didn't do anything and just sat there looking at Nicholas. He doesn't know what is wrong, but he could sense that something is wrong with this Nicholas guy. He seemed to be trying to do something he is not familiar with at all. He just couldn't put his finger on it. That is why he stayed silent, to see what is going to happen. But that doesn't mean Watt should stay silent too. I don't do things for any Tom, Dick, and Harry. I am subordinate of Sam and Sam alone. Watt's words were cold and sharp. Just like how the others looked at him with contempt, he is also looking at them with something, and that is disregard. As Sam said previously, he is only subordinate of Sam, and he doesn't have to bow or work for any other person, even if that person is an emperor, much less a junior duke. Nicholas had a change of expression for first time. At this moment, Brad erupted in rage and made his move. He is a middle-stage novice at level 5. Watt is only at level 3, and is one verge of breaking through to level 4. But he isn't least bit intimidated. How dare you disrespect young master? Brad roared as he swung his fist at Watt. But before his fist could reach Watt's face, whoosh, the air whistled, and Brad felt some sharp pain on the right side of his neck, stopping him in his tracks. He subconsciously touched the wound and could feel the warm blood. Everyone in the room, except Sam and Watt, looked at the wall behind Brad. They saw a rectangular metallic card with a W symbol on it. Watt leisurely said, grabbing all of their attention. I already told you. I am subordinate of Sam and Sam alone. My unconditional respect is only for him. As for the rest, they have to obtain it in the form of exchange. Cough cough. Nicholas drew his attention to himself and said, Artisan Sam, you sure have one good subordinate. At the same time he gestured Brad to take a step back before turning back to Sam. As for why I am here today is to question you about the massacre of Cougar family. Sam didn't respond. He wants to see what Nicholas clearly after. Seeing Sam's nonchalant expression, he continued. I am here as Junior Duke to ask you some questions related to the matter. What is the reason behind your actions? They kidnapped my teammate. Just because one of them kidnapped your teammate, you massacre a whole noble family which is present since the start of our empire. You have no regard to empire's law. Blah. Sam asked rather sarcastically. Yes. Sam chuckled at the response and said, Okay, then let us put it this way. I was there on a mission to eliminate all the criminal organizations. The mission is personally approved by the Marquis himself. Cougar family was found guilty for kidnapping and assisting in kidnapping of a member of my team. So, I have executed them with my authority. Everyone in the room were completely stunned. They knew he is just spitting nonsense. They only have one thought in mind. If you were acting on your authority, why on earth do you have that blood iron sword with you? But nobody said it out loud. Sam can say so, because, the reason valid even if it is a bit far-fetched. But why did Sam say such reason? Sam kept his attention full on Nicholas since he came to this meeting room. The other party seemed to be acting natural, but Sam felt that there is some sort of discomfort and his actions including the provocations to be a little forced. Even the question about Cougar family wasn't asked natural. His target is clearly a whole different thing, and he seemed to only using the Cougar family as an excuse to achieve that. And Sam soon found out what that aim is. Whatever your reason is, you have to make a trip to Dukedom Capital to undergo a trial. When Sam heard these words, he raised an eyebrow. What if I don't want to? Sam asked with a cold voice. Well, we can decide with our fists whether you have to come or not. Nicholas immediately stood up. Sam could have sworn that he saw a flicker of excitement in his eyes. Let's take it outside. Nicholas left those words and left the room. Marquis was acting as a complete spectator from start to end. After a few minutes, inside a training hall of the Marquis mansion, Sam and Nicholas are facing each other in the ring. As Marquis, Watt and Nicholas's two subordinates are being the spectators. Nicholas took out a long spear and looking at it, Sam unsheathed his sword. Even though he forged his swords long time ago, he didn't get an opportunity to test his sword. He also wants to see if he got rusty in his sword skills. The blood-red blade instantly changed the atmosphere. They could feel the bloody stench from the blade. Nicholas smiled and immediately made his move. He lunged forwards as he stabbed towards Sam's heart. Just before it stabbed into his heart, clank, Sam blocked the spear tip with the sword's surface. Nicholas didn't seem surprised. He jumped aside and swung the spear. Clank, clank, clank. Both of them exchanged blows continuously, but Sam didn't even move his foot. He just stood there as he blocked the spear. He didn't seem to be serious because he could feel that Nicholas is also not serious. Suddenly, Nicholas stopped and his face showed a delighted smile. His aura completely changed all of a sudden, and he made his move. This time, Sam also moved and didn't stay passive. Two shadows flashed on the stage, except Marquis. The remaining three couldn't see anything at all. All they could see is the flash of the sharp metals in the fight. But they are not the most surprised ones. Marquis looked at the ring with his mouth open wide. He could imagine Nicholas's speed, since he is a great warrior, but he was completely surprised from Sam's speed. They are on equal footing. At least for now. But if it went on for a while, Sam would lose due to his insufficient reserves. When the two candidates came to halt, their aura changed completely. Sam took a stance. He stood sideward as he placed his feet apart. He stretched his left hand and kept his right wrist holding the sword near his face, with blade being parallel to his left arm. The sword tip was directly pointed at Nicholas. Nicholas also held the spear with his two hands as he pointed it towards Sam. Both of them started raising their spiritual energy. Sam's sword started glowing, giving a sharp aura. His whole being seemed completely changed. Nicholas's spear tip has a concentrated spiritual energy which seemed to explode any time. Both of them moved and seemed to disappear from their spot. Spectators could only see and hear some mind-numbing scenes. Both the fighters landed on the opposite sides, and the half of the stage was crumbled, and the remaining half was slashed diagonally. All they heard was a metal clashing sound, a large explosive sound, a sword keen. And finally, they only saw a big cloud of dust. When the dust settled, they saw Sam panting a little, but Nicholas seemed to be in a better state. Nicholas kept away his spear and smiled cheerfully as he walked towards Sam with an extended hand. "Let me introduce myself. I am Nicholas Carton. I have a nickname, Battle Maniac. All that you saw and heard from me is a lie. I have only one reason to come here, and that is to have a duel with you." His young master demeanor was completely gone, and his smile was even making him look like a fool. Sam chuckled at this and sheathed his sword as he shook his hand. Now only he clearly understood what is wrong with Nicholas earlier. That guy is clearly pretending, and this fool-like face is his natural character. "Sam, I know, I was quite impressed when you fought with the whole noble family. My hands itched for a battle since I heard about you. Why the pretense then? You could have stated your intention directly." "Well, that approach failed many times. That's why I wanted to try something new, and it seemed to work." Sam couldn't help but shake his head. Nicholas's character gave him a certain nostalgia. Sam and Watt were sitting beside each other in Sam's restaurant's private room. The table was full of food. Across them, there are three people who are stuffing their faces as if the food is going to run away. "Nick, stop snatching my dishes. Eat yours." Brad, who made a move against Watt, yelled angrily. He is completely different from his arrogant subordinate he was earlier, and the thing is he is not a subordinate. The three people are close friends. After completely emptying the dishes, then only the three of them stop. "Ha, Sam, the food is so delicious and they even have such spiritual energy. Even though it is little, it is still good. Damn, it is even more delicious than the food made by the chef of the Duke Palace," Nicholas said as he patted his bloated stomach. Sam didn't say anything and just smiled. He didn't have any aversion towards Nicholas, and that is very rare, since they just met yesterday. The main reason, the people like Nicholas are honest and straightforward. He could even find his happiness just by battling all day. One can trust them easily because they don't expect much from others, and they don't like to play schemes. Even if they want to do something to you, they will do things in a straightforward and a proud manner, even if the opponent is many times stronger. "Sam, the rumors aren't untrue. You really are a great fighter, but your cultivation is too low for now to fight an all-out battle. But from your speed, you won't take long to catch up, and then we can battle to our heart's content," Nicholas said with a grin. "We will definitely have an all-out battle. But next time, don't try to play these tricks. You suck at them greatly," Sam said as he looked at that grin. "Ha ha ha, Nick, I already told you, this will not work. You didn't listen at all. See, you are busted," Brad said from the side only to get a slap on the back of his head. "Anyway, don't you have anyone to fight with in the dukedom capital? Why do you have to come all the way here, just to fight with a low-level cultivator?" Sam asked curiously. Sam didn't think that dukedom capital lacks fighters. Nicholas can fight a person each day without repeating for more than 1 year. Even if there are no youngsters, he could fight with people of different age groups with same cultivation level. It's not that he doesn't want to fight, but nobody dares to. Some are afraid of his status, and some are afraid of his strength. He even kicked the assess of the city guards and even the soldiers with same cultivation level as him in the army under the Duke. Where do you think he got the name Battle Maniac? After he defeated all his peers in the academy, nobody in the city dared to fight him because his way of fighting like there is no tomorrow is crushing their confidence. After that, he went to the army and then to other dukedom capitals to challenge other junior dukes. Since he became an acolyte, he started challenging like crazy, and all the nobility started calling him Battle Maniac Nick. Brad spoke in a single breath. His proud grin was clearly saying that he is bragging about his friend. "You sure wrecked some havoc," Sam said as he looked at Nicholas's face. "What do you know? Once a junior duke didn't accept his challenge, so he disguised himself as a bandit and attacked him when he is hunting. He is only a novice then. His father locked him up in the room and spanked his ass so much that a level 4 healer was needed to reduce the swelling." Again, Brad went on with rambling. This time, Nicholas's face turned black as he looked at his friend's face with a very kind smile. "Brad, aren't you tired of talking?" But the poor guy didn't notice the kind smile and continued his rambling. When he was about to go and challenge the princes from the imperial capital, his father threw him in the dungeon. PFFT Sam couldn't control it this time. And he is not the only one. Nicholas also lost control and kicked Brad. He was launched through the walls and landed in the hall. You are paying for that, Sam said as he looked at Nicholas. After Nicholas went back to his city, Sam went back to his mansion to get ready to his operation against the Small Gang. At night, 3 people sneakily left the mansion as they slowly entered the slums. Sam didn't plan to deal with the small fries. He directly kept the leader as his target. And the target is in his hidden base within the slums. 3 of them moved towards the most isolated and run-down house of the slums. There are no houses or any other settlements near that house, and nobody knew why this house is still there, but no one bothered to learn about it. Right now, under that house were 3 floors, and within the deepest floors a man is lying on his bed with an naked woman. Sam felt that the situation in this city is even more complicated than he predicted, as even a small-time gang boss is also using an underground hideout. There are not many people in the first 2 floors. The first floor has some women who are in a ragged state, and the second floor have some guys who are drinking and chattering. This small-time boss is in charge of prostitution as the normal people's own of the city. From the report of Shadow Mice, he learned that these people kidnap the women from the villages under the Marquis territory. But Sam was surprised that they don't have much security. He didn't think too much though. The boss of the gang seemed to be confident in the hiding of his base. It is indeed so. Who would guess that there is a prostitution ringleader staying below a rundown house in slums? There are many people inside the hideout. At most there are only 10 people, but all of them are novice late stage. But Sam didn't take it any lightly. He took out the grenades he specially made. At first sight, they're just like any common grenade he made, but these are some upgraded version of that, and contain a hint of highly diluted indigo water. This is not the hydra poison in the pool, but the water from the indigo patch. There are only 2 guards in the first floor along with the imprisoned woman. So, they're a piece of cake with a sneak attack. The women are not in a condition to speak, so they didn't even make a noise when the guards are knocked out. Sam let out the Shadow Mice, who went into the second floor and activated the grenades Sam took out earlier. After more than 10 minutes, the 10 people in the room are having struggle breathing, and has their lungs corroding. Even though the corrosion is light. Before they could create a big enough commotion, the trio went in and started knocking them out. After a few minutes, the 3 of them stealthily entered the 3rd floor where the team leader is busy pleasuring himself. But just as they were about to unlock the door. Who is it? The man shouted towards the door. He seemed to be more vigilant than Sam thought. Sam and the trio didn't answer and just stayed there. Sam looked at the door as he concentrated his spiritual sense, which is a lot stronger than the opponent, and tried to look for any energy fluctuations inside the door. The other party seemed to be a warrior as he quickly dressed up and took a saber as he walked towards the door. Just as he was a few feet away from the door, Sam took out a metallic card and immediately threw it. The card made a small slit on the door and directly pierced into the opponent. The gang leader was taken aback as he looked at the card pierced into his shoulder. Now, as soon as Sam shouted, 3 of them entered the room. Jack and Watt attacked the woman, while Sam directly swung his sword, taking advantage of the distraction. The leader hurriedly blocked the attack, but due to his ill preparation, the sword cut through the saber and left a deep slash on his chest. Sam didn't stop and took advantage of the situation, and took a small glass capsule. He snapped an edge and immediately threw the liquid at the leader's wound. HHHHH. Everything happened in a swift second, and the leader immediately felt something corroding his wounded flesh. Sam placed the sword on his neck and said, "All I need is some answers and I will let you go. If not, I will dispose you and find another target." Jack and Watt also came and stood beside him. "I will answer. I will answer." And soon, Sam started asking his questions, and the leader answered them hurriedly, because he could sense that something is wrong with his wound, and the bleeding is also not stopping. After an hour, Sam left with Jack and Watt. But all the gangsters are killed. After all, if they left them alone, they will be only inviting problems. Sam has a puzzled expression on his face. Because, from what the leader said, there are no big gangs in the city. All the territories are divided, and the most important thing is, he is not even the boss of this business. The boss is someone else, and what was even more shocking is he doesn't even know who that person is and what he looks like. All he said was that person wore a mask which couldn't be seen through it all. They only met at a single place every month, in the base, and even his subordinates don't know about this. In conclusion, the leader doesn't have any contact with the rest of gangs because there is a strict rule that no 2 gangs should meet and have any conflicts, and these rules are set by a hidden expert from the normal zones. These hidden experts are called lords, and there are 4 lords in the city. The normal people's own lord, the rich people's own lord, the noble's own lord, and the business own lord. So, Sam has 2 goals. One is to meet this hidden boss of this gang and the lord of the zone.